Hello, this is the recently retired Tom and Melanie Kenney sitting at the Cedar Rapids Airport. It's 6:30 in the morning on Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. We're on our way to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then Phoenix, Arizona, and finally to Honolulu for our Hawaiian vacation. Should be fun.
Hard to see out there, but that's a sea of clouds over the Pacific Ocean. Hard to believe we're going to Hawaii since Melanie hates the water and neither of us are beach people.
Okay, we made it into Honolulu. It was kind of a rough, bumpy flight over the Pacific. Lots of turbulence. It's 11:46 Iowa time. So it's 7:46 here in Honolulu. That was a really long day. All right, we finally made it. It's 1:04 Iowa time.
Really?
So we've been traveling. We left home at when?
5:15?
Yeah, about 5:15 yesterday morning. Man, we traveled nearly all day. That was ridiculous. But it's only 9 o'clock Honolulu time. Let's see what our view looks like. There's a lot of Honolulu. There appears to be a big park here.
33 floors up.
Yeah, from 33 floors up. But I think this is looking inland, up into the mountains. I think this big dark area right here is a golf course. And there's a canal right here. And I think the ocean is actually this way. So Waikiki Beach is behind these buildings. And Diamond Head would be off this way. 7:40 local time in Honolulu. Actually Waikiki, where we are right now. On Thursday morning, this is February 16th. This is looking back at the mountains here outside of town. Looks like rain coming. Actually, it's going to rain in the next couple days, 2 to 5 inches here on Oahu. The Big Island could get as much as 18 inches of rain in the next few days. So it's going to be bad around here. Anyway, here's our view. Just like I thought last night, down below us is a canal here and the golf course. And so we look across the Waikiki skyline. That is Diamond Head in the back. If we end up taking just one hike on this whole trip, it's to the top of that. And then you really can't see much of the beach, but that's where it is. Just to put everything into perspective, this is facing southeast right now. So as we turn south is towards the beach and the ocean. Directly behind me would be where Pearl Harbor is. Here's our rented Nissan Altima. It's about 8 o'clock and we're heading out just to explore. Today's the day we're just going to drive around, kind of get the lay of the land and see a few things, and then buy some food to keep in our room for the week. And we'll see what happens, because tomorrow and the next day sounds like the rain's going to be horrible. So I anticipate doing nothing tomorrow. Okay, the first stop is going to be Leonard's, a bakery that was recommended everywhere, no matter what you read or what videos you watch. And parking's kind of a disaster. There's almost nowhere to park. So we parked maybe a quarter mile away up some little side street. placed our order. Now we're just waiting in line with the chickens. All right, eating our pastries from Leonard's. They are really warm. Okay, we're heading east, going around Diamond Head, following the coast. This is the top of Diamond Head up here, and below it is the Diamond Head Lighthouse. We had to walk a little bit along the road to get up there. I don't know if I'm surprised or not, but quite a population of homeless people around here. We parked in front of some probably pretty pricey gated homes. Okay, looking back down the road, I believe this is Diamond Head. Bad weather over the mountains. But I wanted to get a shot of the side of Cocoa Head Crater. Hopefully you can see it. There's a trail that goes straight up 1,000 steps. We're not going to do that one. I really wanted to get just a little bit of what we can of Hanauma Bay, which is a really popular place. Good swimming and snorkeling, but you have to have reservations. Costs $25 to get there, plus $3 to park. So we couldn't really get down there. But the bay way in here must be fairly calm. It's out here a ways. Those waves are really crashing on those rocks. Stop for road construction, but I have to point out that about every fourth car around here is a Mustang. Probably all rentals. Maybe we should have done that. Stop in here for a couple minutes as we proceed up the coast. We made a couple stops before this. We were trying to find the access to Lanakai Beach and the trailhead to the Lanakai Pillboxes hike. Figured out that it's really hard to find a parking place in the residential neighborhoods to try to get even to the beach. And then also the Pillbox hike is way different than what we heard. You were supposed to pull into a place where there were 7 parking places. Well, those places are no longer there. They're blocked off with cement in the street. And the only access is to a gated private neighborhood. So you've got to park a mile away, walk uphill on side streets to get into the private neighborhood, and then start the hike. So it's a little crazy. So I'm not sure whether we'll do that one or not. But in any case, we're stopping here just to take a look out at the surf and at this island behind me that's known as Chinaman's hat. Also, somewhere out there, a mile from shore, is a sandbar. Kind of out in the middle of the ocean. You can boat out there or kayak out there and then stand in just knee-deep or waist-deep water and feel like you're in the middle of the ocean. That's probably not being done today because it looks to me like it's fairly rough way out there. And I'm not exactly sure where it is. Looking back from the beach to the parking lot, you see these big cliffs. They're just tons of this, the mountainside that's almost straight up. These look pretty steep. Lots of the other ones are just steeper. Also, right here is the area where they filmed a bunch of movies. There's a Jurassic Park, 50 other things. So we'll take a tour later in the week and see some of the scenes. Okay, we just drove through Sunset Beach and by Ahukai Beach and where the Bonsai Pipeline is, and it was really, really crowded. There were cars everywhere for miles. It took us an hour to go a couple of miles, bumper to bumper. And evidently there's some big surfing competition going on because there were a few spots where we saw big cameras set up and just people everywhere. So it was kind of wild. We couldn't really stop. But we did find this spot where you can see some huge waves and some surfers out in the distance. So we thought we'd stop here. I don't know if you can make them out, but there's surfers out there. I lost them now. There's some pretty big waves rolling in. Ooh, there's somebody. Oh, there's a couple more out there. Yeah, there's half a dozen guys out there. A lot of big waves rolling in. Yeah, there are definitely 5 or 6 guys out there. Can't zoom in anymore, but the waves look cool. Now on the famous Turtle Beach. I guess usually the beach is loaded with them. But today, I think there's one. Now we're walking around this little surf town of Pelawea, if I'm pronouncing it right. Got some little shops, things to look at. Fairly quiet around here compared to other places. Alright, we've been driving around all day. It's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're going all the way around the entire island. But just wanted to show the dashboard here. We've averaged 17 miles an hour driving all day long. That shows how many times we've been in bumper to bumper stop traffic. Watching the waves roll into the North Shore. Some pretty big ones out there. Melanie was down here taking pictures. And then realized there's this big seal just laying here taking a nap. Well, I didn't see it move, but Melanie said it raised its head. Kind of wish I could zoom in a little more on the waves. They're pretty cool. They look big. Look rough. Well, I can't get it to move, and I'm going to be nice and not get any closer. We're probably 30 yards away from it. Quite a ways. Close enough, though. He's looking right at us now. Just keep walking. See, he's keeping an eye. He's keeping an eye on us now, wondering what we're doing. He's gonna wave goodbye. All right, I got to the point where there's no traffic. We figured out that going out to that point, we thought we could go around it and keep going down the coast, but evidently you can't do that. Can't go that way. So we have to backtrack miles. So we're just driving. Okay, it's about 6:15 and the rain's starting to come down a little bit. And we pulled into a Walmart here just to do a little shopping, get some food and stuff for the week. But I just wanted to say that we just came through some neighborhoods where it was just completely different than anything we've seen all day. Everything is nice green mowed grass. Everything's really well kept. All the hedges are nice and square, and all the construction looks new. Just way different than kind of the rundown places we've driven through, and no homeless people. And no free-range chickens. All right, things we learned today after driving almost pretty much all the way around the island. I thought that the road would be pretty much along the coast, which it kind of is, but almost everywhere between the road and the coast is private property, houses and whatnot. And so you can't really see the ocean for most of the drive. And it's usually just a lot of fences and trees and things like that. I thought you'd have more views of the ocean on the drive around the island. Also, there's a huge homeless population on the island. We saw an awful lot of tents and stuff in the woods near some of the main attractions. And then also a lot of the homes and buildings are just kind of dilapidated, just kind of look kind of rotten. Even the coastal spots, the stuff that's right on the ocean, was really run down. You think that would be just prime property, and it just appears to not be. The other things we saw, there were tons of just free-range chickens. There were just chickens all over the place, just wandering across the road and on the side of the road. And then also, I think about every 10th car is a Ford Mustang, which I was kind of happy to see. And I'm sure most of those are rental cars, a lot of convertibles, but I thought that was kind of cool. Also, in all the places we tried to go, which we kind of thought were all popular spots, which they were, there's almost no parking. Nearly everywhere you went, you had to park on the side of the road, and it was kind of a battle for parking places. Otherwise, some of the parking lots are hardly parking lots, more like just turnouts with space for, even 10 to 20 cars sometimes, but they weren't paved. A lot of really bumpy mud holes, and just impossible to find places to park. So that was a kind of a disaster, trying to find somewhere to park. At the end of the day, we did drive through some places that looked quite a bit nicer. Everything was clean, and grass was mowed, and the median strip down the middle of the road was mowed, and trees are all trimmed, and hedges are all cut nicely, and fences look good, buildings look new. So there are plenty of parts, especially right outside of Honolulu, that are really nice. And the other thing we noticed was we thought there was just no way we're going to see anything, license plate wise, anything but Hawaii license plates, because we couldn't figure out why other cars could be over here. But we saw license plates from Texas and Georgia. But all of that really did help a lot. Later in the week, there won't be as many surprises when we're trying to figure out where to go and what to do. Friday, about 9:15 in the morning. Almost looks nice out. It rained a lot during the night, and this morning you couldn't see Diamond Head above the buildings over there, but you can now, and you can see pretty far out into the ocean. So, but it is going to rain almost all day long, progressively worse. So we're going to go out and about and see what happens. Canceled our early morning hike that we were going to do this morning. Put that off until later, and making it up as we go along today.
I haven't seen anybody out on the golf course yet. This course actually looks a little crappy looking. I'm sure that's due to all the rain they've had in the last week. We're on the 33rd floor here, and this is our pool if we choose to use it. Okay, we're off on a hike. We're going to Makapu'u Lighthouse. Can you show us where that is? Right out on that point. Right, it's gonna be wet.
It's 12:36. We're taking off. It is raining, but we came to hike, so we're hiking in the rain no matter what. Picked this one to do now because it's pretty much paved the whole way. Just uphill. Round trip's about 1.5 miles, so really not much. Parking lot was full, so there are quite a few people out here. It's a fairly steep ascent. I don't know if I'm getting it or not. I hope I got that. I'll wait for one more. Oh, there's one to the left a little bit. I think I got a little. Still going up. Well, not quite to the top. There's the lighthouse. Can't go up here yet. I like that little footpath over to it. Looking out at Rabbit Island. We're still going up a few more steps. Okay, we've been up here a minute or two. It's 1:30 right now, and we're heading back down. Now we're checking out the blowholes that Melanie noticed. They're kind of underneath the cliff a little bit. Oh, there they go. The biggest one is kind of down where you can't quite see it. There are a couple pretty big geysers a minute ago. That's better, but we've seen better. Okay, so we're back at about 2:15.
Rained the entire time. It was wet, but it was kind of cool. Got to see some blowholes down at the edge on the coast, and then I got to see quite a few whales. They were out their ways, but definitely there. It was kind of a fun hike. Easy, uphill, but sidewalk all the way. Okay, stopping here for a little bit. See this lookout. Kind of anticipating not seeing much at all. We might come back in a couple days when it's bright and sunny, hopefully, and see how much different this looks. I wonder how far in the distance you can normally see. Most likely way out into the ocean. Fog and mist in the mountains is kind of cool looking though. This is interesting. In the early 1800s, the only way to get from Honolulu to the other side of the island was up through these mountains on a trail, which Hawaiians traveled the trail with ease, but foreigners found it difficult. So eventually they put in a foot trail, then a horse trail, then a carriage road, then a horse and buggy road. And it wasn't until the 1950s till a real highway was put in. Pali means cliff. Definitely miles of cliffs here. Assuming this is a golf course. Visibility's getting worse. See if we can come out the other end of this in the clouds, like right here. Better over here. Hit these things. All right, back to the hotel at 5:45. And then we're going to probably go out to Waikiki and walk around a little bit and find a restaurant to eat at. And walking around a little more will get me up in steps. I'm at 10,600 for the day right now, so more will be great. We walked about 2 blocks and got right in, so we're going to get something to eat.
Potatoes and grilled asparagus.
Sounds delicious. We're both having the macadamia nut crusted mahi mahi. We got some bread. When people see this, send your votes to me as to what you think this looks like. All right, food got here. That was pretty quick. Middle of Waikiki and a Friday night. Not sure why there's a whole block of surfboards locked up here.
In the 60s, people came here for the entertainment, not the shopping. So Don Ho was the big star at the time. This is kind of a open-aired mall. Goes on for a block, maybe two. We've walked a little bit. I think we're kind of in the middle of it here. Not sure what that line's for. Almost there. This is up us, the tall one up here.
It's Saturday morning, February 18th. I refuse to let Tom do this while he's driving, so I have to talk into the camera. We are headed to 21 Degrees Estates, which is a cocoa farm, for a farm tour and chocolate tasting. And going through the John H. Wilson Tunnel on Licky Licky Highway.
Okay, this is our third day here, and this is the first time I'm putting on any sunscreen. I don't know if you can hear all this, but there's a lot of crazy sounds coming out of this jungle behind me. Sounds like birds and monkeys to me, but probably just birds. Probably mainly just chickens. Alright, we're off on the tour. It's raining again, but that's not bad. We're at the 21 degree estate at 21 degrees of latitude above the equator. That's where the name comes from. The word is pronounced cacao, which we were doing incorrectly before. And that's what chocolate's made from, or this particular chocolate. Cacao has only been in the Hawaiian Islands for 20 years. In fact, there's only 200 acres total on the Hawaiian Islands of cacao. But it makes some of the best chocolate in the world.
I was here with another group yesterday, and it's typically the cause of fire.
And did you realize a beehive in Hawaii has the ability to make more honey than any other place in the rest of the country? That's right. We have flowers year-round, and so we have the climate, and we have the weather, and we have the flowers year-round.
More interesting notes. A lot of the plants are canoe plants brought over on canoes 1,000 years ago. Like the bamboo and the taller things back here. And these short ones in front of us are the cacao plants.
I predict 1,000. And at the end of year one, 2,300 pods.
Here, hang on to that for a second.
Definitely have
So,
to, yes.
700 trees. Every couple weeks,
Over 2,000.
they'll harvest 1,500 of these.
Have the best chocolate ever.
3 weeks. I think if
One
you went to 4
pod
weeks, you would
makes
begin to miss
one chocolate bar.
Some either too early or too late.
So that's pretty interesting. Learned a lot more than I can say on tape here. But I did say that each one of those pods makes one chocolate bar. That's a really big chocolate bar. Now we're talking about maybe 10 Hershey bars that you buy in the store. So now we're going to go up to where they crack open those pods after they've clipped them off the tree, and crack them open and see what kind of seeds are inside. And then we're also going to do some chocolate tasting.
This in a second. So, okay, so cracking team. So we've collected these. Typical harvest is here, 1,500. Oh, I didn't tell you, year one, 2,300. Year 5, which was last year, it was 12,000. This year, I think I'm going to be pushing 18,000. Oh, wow. Which makes sense. If the average has been 15, and we're going to do, you know, probably 13, 14 harvests, well, then that's about 18,000 pods or so. Is these trees with the idea that we're going to have the highest quality cacao, but we need to do a high quality ferment to keep it as this high quality product. I know this firsthand because I have totally turned this into a very mediocre cocoa bean because I did not do this well. I think the secret of doing a good ferment is temperature. And so my goal in fermenting, and this will all go into one, you know, big basically container, and then I raise the temperature up to 113 degrees Fahrenheit and keep it there for 10 to 12 days. And every day I'm going to go in, I'm going to stir up this whole mass of seed, and I'm adding oxygen, which is helping to fuel the ferment. And at the end of the ferment, and hopefully the rain has stopped. I actually delayed them a couple days because it was pouring rain. I said, well, this will accomplish nothing. So when you were arriving, the sun came out, right? It's like, oh my God, get all the bean out. and then open air dry. And this will be a challenge for me the next coming days because we're forecast to get a bunch more rain the next coming week. Very, very dry. Like snap in half easily with your fingers. And can you imagine? What do we have? We're, 90% humidity today? Very, very difficult. If you have your line of beach towels and it doesn't dry quickly enough, what happens? Mold and mildew. And do you see any potential for mold and mildew here? And do you want to have chocolate that tastes like wet sneakers? Probably not. And so this will be my, oh my God, the sun's coming out. Quick, get them all outside. Yes. And you can tell, obviously, we harvested right at the correct moment. And
That is just so gross.
And you know what? Kim, how's it taste?
I mean,
She
it's
asked-
not
I
the way
asked
I'd prefer to eat chocolate. It's not, I mean, I prefer the final product.
Yes.
But it's you know, it's not gross.
All right, here we go.
Is what we smell the fermented smell?
This is the fermented
Then you
smell.
can bite it and you get that bitter.
I like the outside taste. You don't like the tart, fruity tart.
It's all right.
And then the inside is
It's
what
all
you
right.
think of bitter chocolate.
So this one's right out of the
Is
ferment,
it as
about an
soft as
hour.
it looks?
Yes. If you want to, you know.
I'm good with watching.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a couple more. If
John, do you
someone
wanna try
wants
it?
to grab.
Well, he does the nibs down there too, which is the inside.
Did you want to try?
I'll wait for the nibs.
Katie, what'd you think of that? Did you have it yet?
I'm sharing first.
Okay. Okay, and then
There's more up here.
then report back.
There's more here.
And so you can tell the before and after from the seed to now the fermented bean. The goal of the fermenting is really to enhance the flavor of the cacao through fermenting, removing the sugars and really developing the cocoa flavor.
So what do you think?
I have learned so much about cacao.
Me too. I realize I don't have the sophisticated palate that everybody else does. I couldn't pick out, you know, the bitterness and some of the other stuff that those guys are tasting.
And mine was more the texture.
It just didn't taste like chocolate at all yet, but didn't expect it to.
More like cocoa.
Yeah, I guess it did have a little bit of a cocoa taste to it.
Okay, so now you're going to get the A-Team
All right.
chocolate tasting.
All right, great. Well, it's super good to have you back and all the rest of you. Welcome. So I'm Maria, and welcome to the tasting part of the tour.
That tastes like good honey.
Okay, yeah, and they're very similar. About the tip of our tongue, and you want to let the chocolate kind of mingle around there. We have tart and sour on the sides, and then bitter to the back. So when you let the
It's lighter.
it's a little bit light. The brown is a slightly it. You also notice that even though it's not sweet, it's also not really bitter either. It's an intense flavor. But did some of you taste the seed inside the fruit?
Some of us had the fermented bean also.
Oh, you did? Wow, okay.
Right
So
out of the
as
ferment.
you tasted the seed, remember, yeah, you can maybe get a hint of cocoa, but it was still kind of a long shot. But now there's no mistaking. This is cocoa, right? The flavor we associate with cocoa and chocolate.
Okay.
So what's happened in the
Keep trying the
meantime, right?
nibs.
Between that seed that you tasted before, it's nibs, of course, give you all the nutritional benefits of cacao. But when you use a nice
100% cacao.
with coffee. But you can also, this one is our triple superfood bar. We call it that because it's all sourced from the farm. The first superfood is the
Turmeric
cacao
in it.
itself because this is 70% cacao. So it's like a dark chocolate level of chocolate. But we can't call it a dark chocolate because when we add something to it, it's getting wet on the side.
There's some coconut milk in that one.
Well, at least
Yeah, I don't know what turmeric tastes like either.
yeah, so, and that just helps to kind of mellow it out a little bit, and you get kind of that candied ginger flavor on them. So, taste. Anybody recognize that smell?
Number 2.
Number 2? All right, let me ask you this. Tell me if you think you maybe recognize it more that way. This is also locally grown here. Any guesses? No. Because it's a different
I did
flavor
not get
note
the
than a
lavender
sweet
in
note.
there.
So it wouldn't be picked up in the front of the tongue, for sure. Finishing up the winter season right now. But as we move into spring, it's actually one of our
Number
most
3.
prolific seasons for harvest. Typically, we really get these big harvests. And that's when we're having a lot of rain, temperatures starting to rise. It's the time of the season, right, when they were harvested. So now, as you're tasting this one, what do you notice that's different? It is, and it's more complex, and it's earthier, it's deeper. It even has a different texture, doesn't it? Does it seem a little, got a little bit more snap to it, harder or something?
Not as smooth.
Not as smooth?
They didn't have that little whatever.
A little bit, that burst of fruitiness from last year's autumn.
Is it a prominent different smell?
There's a little change in fragrance, yeah, but in this one, when you taste it, wait till you taste the texture difference. This one is super smooth. It's creamy at the end.
It's like melty.
Right? It's super creamy. So this one, I taste the
creamy.
caramel topping in the middle, and they taste it, and then notice how smooth it is. We say at the time of the season. So, yeah, that one's really popular. Now, even if you're not a super dark fan, I want you to taste number 6. I think you're going to find it's still very smooth for being an 85. And then tell me if you taste if any flavors come out to you, or you think you taste anything in this one. What does it remind you of? Anything?
Yeah, just come for the third time.
Well, that was highly informative. I didn't want to talk into the camera much with the crowd, being in a small group. So I kind of missed out saying a bunch of stuff that I'd like to say. Really interesting. All those are dark chocolates, which are 70% cacao and a little bit of cane sugar and maybe a little bit of cocoa butter to make it smooth.
Yes, it was, and
But pretty good stuff. Just to note that Hershey's dark chocolate is about, I can't remember what they said, 30 to 35% cacao. So this is real dark chocolate. Everything that we tasted were inclusions, which means there's a little bit in there besides the cacao and sugar to give it some little more hints of taste. So they were good. Definitely not like a Hershey's chocolate bar, but good. All right, we were down in this area somewhere, but we've driven up the coast to almost the northern tip of the island to right here. All right, so what do we have here?
We have a dozen jumbo shrimp and rice, and it's got garlic, sauteed in garlic.
You can hear all that. Sounds delicious. Okay, we had our shrimp I kind of struggle with that. I'm not sure I like shrimp. Tastes fine, but it's just a messy, wavy stuff. So back to the cacao farm, 21 Degree Estates. I actually kind of enjoyed that tour. The whole tour covered about 100 yards. We didn't go very far. But it was really interesting to listen to Michael talk and Marie, his wife. They're both ex-military people who retired to be, as he called it, a gentleman farmer, but realized that it was a lot more work than he thought it was going to be. But it was just really interesting to hear about how the plants are harvested, and it's really just all a lot of handwork. You got to snip them off the trees and get them at the right time, and then ferment them and then dry them. Take the seeds out and then send that to the chocolate maker, which we have locally here to make the chocolate. And then we tried a bunch of different kinds. All tasted a little different, just depending on what the weather was and what time of year it was and what little additives they put in there, which is really very little. So I thought it was great. And we bought some of the stuff that I like the best. Anything else?
Learned a lot.
We learned a lot.
About honey also.
Yes, because they kept bees there and made a lot of honey. So that was just kind of cool. Also, they had a couple goats there, a little bit for entertainment purposes so that you could feed them. But they also do a yoga goat class of some kind where the goats jump up on your back. I guess that's a thing. Anyway, I like the small group that we were in because everybody kind of talked a lot and asked questions and tried to answer his questions. I actually spoke up a lot, which was kind of different. I kind of guessed wrong at a bunch of questions that he asked, but at least it kind of got a conversation going. So I think they appreciated having us there. But I thought the small group really helped a lot. And I guess I expected just a really big operation, and it was actually pretty small. But I guess that's the way it is. So it just made a little less formal, and they didn't give like a big, long, canned speech. It was just a lot of, free-for-all discussion. So I kind of like that. Anything else? Well, we're driving up the west side of the island. And I think we've pretty much driven all the way around the island everywhere that you can go. Behind me would be towards Honolulu. And facing the sun here, looking west. And behind me are the mountains here, which do look a little drier, not quite as lush like the rainforests on the other side of the island. And then back there behind me is the point that we could not come around from the other side when we were driving yesterday, where we saw the monk seal. So I think we've pretty much driven everywhere. This is kind of a cool spot. I'm standing on some rocks where the waves are crashing right in front of me and coming up almost to my feet. So I'll show you what that looks like. It's kind of cool. Yeah, that came up here pretty far. Okay, that's as far as the road goes, so we're heading back. Okay, we were considering a hike up to pillboxes on the other side of the island and decided it was almost impossible to get to that trailhead without going through private property and parking in neighborhoods a mile before the trailhead. So then we decided we might do this pillbox hike, but looking at it, we might not want to do this because I think it's pretty much straight up this mountain. So we might cross that off the list. I don't know if it's worth it. Just catching the sunset. Holy cow. No time to spare. You get it? Sunday the 19th, and bright sunshine this morning. First time since we've been here. Okay, first thing on the agenda today is Pearl Harbor. There is a lot to see here. Visitor Center, and then of course the Arizona, sunken Arizona, and the battleship Missouri, which are behind me out here. That's what we're going to do today. There's also an aviation museum, which we're probably not going to do, and then also a submarine, which we're not going to do also. Actually, a long list of survivors. There's tons of information in here, way more than I could possibly tape, so I may not do a whole lot.
There had been little time to fight back, but more to attack. Saw a bright spike rise on the screen. The sighting was the biggest that they had ever seen. But a lieutenant told them not to worry. Some B-17 bombers were due in from the U.S. mainland. That was probably all it was. Not far away, Commander Mitsuo Fuchida, leading the first wave of 183 planes, knew he was close to Oahu, but clouds blocked his view. Then suddenly, there it was. Blue water, white surf, an island like a green jewel. Minutes later, Fuchida spotted it through his binoculars. Over 185 vessels, a row of battleships tethered in pairs. It was 7:53. Fuchida's radio man transmitted a coded telegraph message. Tora, Tora, Tora. It meant complete surprise achieved. Air bases first. The Japanese plan was meticulous and systematic. Crush American air power before it can get off the ground. Strike the American fighter planes first to gain control of the air. Then hit the long-range patrol planes and bombers so the Japanese task force at sea could not be located and attacked. Dive bombers came screaming down to bomb and then strafe. The skies over Oahu were empty. Was it over? Not yet. Just before 9 o'clock, the second wave of Japanese planes filled the air. But again, the fighters and bombers raked airfields and air stations. Bombs exploded on the ships at Pearl Harbor. The objective of the second wave was to finish off any battleships and to destroy any American aircraft that might retaliate against the Japanese fleet at sea. In the first wave, there had been little time to fight back, but this time, despite their losses, the Americans were ready. Machine guns chattered from the ground. Anti-aircraft fire popped the sky. 21 American vessels were sunk or seriously damaged. 188 planes destroyed. By nightfall, 1,158 Americans were wounded, and 2,390 people were dead. 49 civilians, too, died that day, most from friendly fire. The Japanese lost just 29 planes, 5 midget submarines, and 64 men. Their improbable surprise had worked, with one hitch. No American aircraft carriers had been in port. Pearl Harbor was not a knockout blow, but the bold Japanese attack had changed warfare forever. Naval air power, not battleships, would dominate the conflict to come.
Okay, on the boat out to the Arizona. So this is Ford Island, where the battleships are lined up in pairs. The Arizona being one of the inside pairs. And they thought it was protected by the outside ships. But it did take a bomb right smack in the middle of it, which stuck it. We were reminded that this is not an attraction, but a cemetery site. Really can't see much, so it's kind of amazing though how much is underwater that you really can't see. Just knowing how big the battleship actually is. Definitely see the oil still in the water. I remove my hat out of respect. Again, it's just hard to fathom how big the ship really was and how many people were out here. And not just this ship, but all the others. The buoy out here is the bow of the ship. The buoy out here marks the stern. And this is the Missouri over here. Fast 10 minutes, but that is enough. All right, now we're heading on to the battleship Missouri. Taking the guided tour.
Our tour has 3 stops and it will highlight the legacy of the Missouri's career.
Missouri's only been here, open for tours since 1998. It was actually the last battleship that was made back in World War II that saw time in Korea and actually other time during all the way up through Desert Storm. So it's seen a lot of action. A lot of interesting information here. But the thing is 887 feet long.
Each gun weighs 239,000 pounds. That's as much as the national.
Talking about their guns. They're huge.
These guns are equivalent to a Boeing 747, and they can move independently from one another up and down.
I'm glad already that we took the guided tour. All the information about the guns is just fascinating. How far they could shoot, how fast they could reload, how fast they could turn around, shoot different directions. Amazing for stuff built in the 30s, used in the early 40s.
That marks the spot where the table was. They signed the end of the war right here on the Missouri, which at that time was in Tokyo Bay.
Again, tons of interesting information, way more than I could just sit here and record. It would just be way too long. But it's, again, fascinating.
Note to number 13, General George Kenney.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you just joining us on the surrender deck, we can kind of close it in right around me here. We just need to keep
He's
two
the only guy
primary
not
areas
looking straight ahead. He's been off in the middle of nowhere. What the heck is that guy looking at?
Sure glad Melanie pointed that out. I guess that photo thing has been in the Kenney family or Kenney name for longer than we ever knew.
And unfortunately,
For such a huge ship, all the walkways and stairways are so narrow.
They were skinny.
Yeah, I guess everybody was skinnier then.
All right, here's an interesting story. This is called the kamikaze deck because at one time a Japanese fighter tried to kamikaze onto the deck. A plane crashed right into the side of the ship, and the bomb on the plane and the plane sunk, and there was debris scattered all over the place, started a big fire that they put out. But then they found the Japanese pilot in the wreckage, so they gave him a nice, Navy funeral, wrapped him in a makeshift flag, and sent him overboard. So, nice part of kindness on the part of the American Navy. But the real untold story is that the word kamikaze did not come from Japanese fighter pilots that were trying to bomb onto ships and kill themselves. The term means divine wind, and it comes from when the Chinese, hundreds of years ago, tried to attack Japan and were repelled by a storm, a divine wind. And to further along with the story, which wasn't told here, but you might recognize. All right, sorry about that, a little bit of an interruption there. But once again, a few hundred years ago when the Chinese were trying to invade Japan, they were repelled by a divine wind or a big storm. And there were several times that they tried to attack, and a couple of those were in Hakata Bay. And if you recognize that, you might recognize the story where the Mongolian dragon sword was captured by the Chinese from the Japanese in one of the battles in Hakata Bay, and then spent the rest of its time in China, protecting people on the Silk Road and usurping emperors, and finally slaying dragons.
You have to climb down backwards? Cool.
All right.
This is no big deal. Hasn't gone down a ladder.
Nothing to it. But it definitely says, climb down ladder backwards.
Cafeteria look like that in the south.
Things get nicer as you move up in rank.
some amazingly detailed pencil drawings. A lot of what we're seeing was updated in the 80s. So it's not all from World War II. I guess I truly am retirement age because first place I worked, I typed a ton of stuff on a typewriter exactly like this. It's quiet down here, and Melanie just said, "We're lost." The donut shop. Oh no, there's a lot of them. More bunks, a lot more room in here. It's really kind of a maze through here. It'd be easy to get lost. Here's what we're looking for. In the war room now. Everything's a little more plush. Actually get windows here. Back outside and heading up. Well, I ran out of battery out on the Missouri, but I guess we were walking around for a long time because it's now 10 minutes to 3 and we got here just a couple minutes after 8 o'clock this morning. But I did want to wrap up Pearl Harbor. I found it incredibly interesting. Learned a lot of stuff about the attack, which is kind of what I was interested in. And I watched the movie Tora 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 about a week ago before coming here. A lot of things I heard and read there were depicted in the movie. I thought that was kind of cool. So I had some idea of what was going on. About 10 minutes out above the Arizona is enough. It really is kind of a somber experience when you think about everything that happened and how it all happened and how many people died there and in the entire attack. But then the Battleship Missouri was interesting. We had a good guide who gave us a lot of information. What?
Heidi.
Heidi was her name. She was good. Answered a lot of questions and just had a wealth of information without sounding like a canned speech. So I just thought she did a really good job. So yeah, I would highly recommend the whole thing. All right, we're blocked from the Capitol, walking there now. We read somewhere that this isn't the nicest place in town, and there are a lot of homeless people hanging around. Okay, it was 86, hot, bright sunshine at Pearl Harbor. We drove just a couple miles into Honolulu. Temperature dropped to 74. We drove through a pretty hard shower, and now the sun's kind of coming back out. And so we are now at the State Capitol building. One of the few that does not have a dome. Definitely a different look. The pillars were supposed to represent palm trees. don't know if you can make that out up there, but it almost looks like palm leaves. In the center of the building is this mosaic on the floor that's supposed to represent the ocean. And we are in a big open area courtyard. In the middle of the place. Double points to anyone who can read the bottom line on this seal and tell me what it means. And we have to note that there is a reflecting pool that surrounds the whole building, but it all seems to be fenced in at the moment, so they're evidently doing some sort of work on that. The cone-shaped structures here on the sides, supposed to represent volcanoes. Okay, I had to reshoot a little bit of that because we had some homeless guy in there that was screaming at the top of his lungs and
Profanity.
And dropping some F-bombs, yeah. And that's not the first time that's happened to us at a state capitol.
On a Sunday morning.
On a Sunday morning. Well, it's Sunday afternoon now,
that's
but
true. On a Sunday.
On a Sunday. Must be a touristy stop because a couple of vans full of people stopped and got out. Closed today, but was not really going to be one of our stops.
The National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific, informally known as the Punch Bowl Cemetery, is a national cemetery located at Punch Bowl Crater in Honolulu, Hawaii. It serves as a memorial to honor those men and women who served in the United States Armed Forces and those who have given their lives in doing so. It is administered by the National Cemetery Administration of the United States Department of Veteran Affairs and listed on the National Registry of Historic Places.
There are just rows and rows of flat grave markers. There's got to be thousands of them. The place is actually bigger than we're getting shots of here. Here's kind of a cool shot. It's the cool looking trees with the mist and the rainbow in the back. And the mountains. Here's more, just rows and rows. When you're in here, you don't quite get the idea that you're in a big crater. Here are the grounds again from the upper edge of the crater. Pearl Harbor is back this way, although I can't place exactly where or if we can actually see it. I know we're looking into the sun here, but this is the Honolulu skyline. With Diamond Head in the back. Always helps to, it's kind of a landmark to tell me where I'm at. Shooting this to try to locate the hotel we're in. We'll have to zoom in on this later once we get it in the computer and we can fool around with it. And here's another shot of the Capitol building from above. Just hit 10,000 steps on the Fitbit, so getting our exercise in again today. And we're gonna go out and walk a little more, go out and get something to eat, but I'm closing up the camera for the day, not taking it out for dinner, so hopefully nothing exciting happens.
Okay, it's Monday morning, President's Day, February 20th. We're gonna go on a whale watching boat. And we're walking through downtown Honolulu. We basically couldn't get to where we wanted to go. We just found a public parking area and parked, and we think we're a half a mile walk away from the dock. We're not sure. I'm not even sure we're going the right direction. So we're gonna see what happens here. Okay, we boarded right at 8 o'clock when they opened up. The boat doesn't leave till 8:45, so we got a little time to relax. And I think we need the relaxation because getting over here was pretty stressful. Tell us about the drive over here.
You don't want me to say what I really want to say about the drive over here.
Well, don't use the language that I heard in the car on the way over.
There's some sort of organized run that has blocked off all the streets, and GPS was telling us to go the wrong way on a one-way street, so I had to make it up as we went along, which was stressful. But we're here, and we're on time.
We're backing out of the dock right on time. We've picked a spot on the starboard side, up on the upper deck. There are a ton of people on this boat. There were 2 decks filled, like the one we were sitting in before. So a lot of people, but we're free to roam around the whole boat at this time. So we'll see what happens. It is another cloudy day.
If you're interested in whale footage, talk to one of our trained naturalists or see the whale gallery located in the stairwells at the bow of the space.
Hiding from the rain, going through a squall. No whales, but you can just barely see the city in a tiny break in the rain. Alright, we just missed probably the best thing we'll see all day.
Out there from that whale that we just saw, looks like we might have a few whales here with us. So we just saw those spouts, or the moisture from these whales when they exhale. So when we see them do this, they're coming up to breathe and releasing all of that air. There's another spout right about 10 o'clock. Might be seeing a little of that dorsal fin as well, the fin on their back.
You'll get a glimpse of our beautiful Diamond Head. Diamond Head is kind of the tallest point along the coast here that we can see over on the right-hand side. It was named by British sailors who came into the area and saw that Diamond Head was kind of glinting and shimmering in the sun. They thought that they were seeing diamonds up there, but when they went to see what they could find, take a look up there, they were disappointed to not find any diamonds, but instead just find flecks of calcite, which were worthless to them.
Okay, we'll wrap this up. What do you have to say?
There were whales. We saw them actually, I think, better when we were on the tour or the hike at the lighthouse. That was actually closer, so that was fun.
I agree. As far as whale watching, it was a bit of a dud. I think we saw more on the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail. But it was, it was kind of fun.
It was good to see Diamond Head.
Yeah.
And the skyline of Honolulu.
Yeah, and I watched the weather more than I watched the whales, because it was just weird how it'd rain and not rain, then be windy, and
You know, the sun would be on the city and then it wouldn't, and it was just kind of crazy. Anyway,
Let's hope we have a car.
yeah, time to find our car.
Okay, here we are, Waikiki Beach.
All right, neither of us are beach people, so we're not going to lay out in the sun.
Which there isn't any.
Which there isn't any. It really hasn't been all week. But we're wading through the water here. And Melanie doesn't like the water at all, so she probably won't even get in. But I might wade out there a little ways, we'll see.
Okay, pretty crowded out here, even on really a non-beach day. I wonder what it's like on a busy day. Give the once around here. I don't know if you can pick out how many people are in the water. Quite a few. Some surfboards, some just swimmers. Diamond Head, of course, right there. And more crowd.
Well, I got in the water a little bit, just to say I did. I also want to get a shot of this building behind me here. Big pink building, because we could see it from the whale watching boat today.
The hotel is called the Royal Hawaiian.
Okay, about 6 o'clock now. Looking back towards the beach, and I think it's raining like crazy out almost everywhere. Can't see Diamond Head behind the buildings. Still have not seen one golfer on this course. And a little bit of clearing over here. But it's supposed to rain all day again tomorrow in one place or another on the island. Got my steps in today. Tuesday morning, the 21st. It is bright and sunny out this morning. And this is the day we picked to climb Diamond Head, which is back there behind me. This is also the first time that I've seen carts driving around on the golf course.
Almost ready to hike up Diamond Head. Our reservations that had to be made were at 10 o'clock. We got here about 9. They wouldn't let us in yet. Have to wait till 9:30. So we're killing a little time here. But then we're going to drive up the hill through a one-lane tunnel and then into the parking lot and start the hike from there.
Can hardly go anywhere without parking next to a Mustang. Kind of guessing this is the summit up here. And you can tell we are definitely in a large crater. Surrounded by appear to be mountains.
All right, we're taking off. 9:48. See how long this takes. It is really crowded here. People all over the place. First 2/10 or so are paved. So the first part of the trail is paved, but the rest of it is actually rock, not dirt. It's just really uneven, kind of chiseled out of the side of the mountain here. And we're getting into the switchback section. It was 78 degrees and breezy standing outside the crater when I made my first shot next to the sign. Once inside the crater, the breeze went down a little bit, and that first part of the trail was into the trees, but
Now we're pretty exposed to the sunlight on all these switchbacks, but the breeze has picked up again, so it's steep and warm, but really not that bad. You're taking just a minute break before we do all this coming up here. Trail goes from a couple people wide to kind of single file here. Plenty of railing though, so it's safe. Coming up shortly is the first set of steps, the shorter 74 steps, and then the second set is 99. Check for yourself on YouTube in a week or two.
Okay.
It's actually warm in here and uphill. Okay, right out of the tunnel is the 99 steps.
I just forgot how to use stairs.
Same.
I think I got super tired at about 90. All right, ready to keep going? Yeah. All right, looking back, looking forward.
Really, thank you so much for letting me know that. Okay. Oh, yeah.
I forgot we had the spiral staircase yet. It's way too tight to film in there. Keep going.
It's like straight out.
Yeah, straight out past the circle line about.
Well, that was fun. The tunnel opens into a pillbox that you actually had to crawl to get out of.
Thank you.
And I can really see the lighthouse.
Okay, more climbing.
Love it.
Okay, overlooking the crater here. Maka, which means towards the mountain or inland. Then looking Mackay towards the sea. More steps. A couple more steps up a ladder. This is interesting because there's 1, 5 foot square at the top, where everybody wants the money shot.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to wait in line behind all these people to get that ourselves.
That side is the ocean. So you can see a lot of that. But then this
Okay, from the summit, the quick 360, starting over Honolulu. Quick pass over the South Pacific. Definitely a madhouse at the top, but that's what we expected, so that's what we deal with. No problem. Water break. Okay, it's 11:20 now. We fought the crowds at the top. We stopped for a drink of water, so I'm not exactly sure how long it took to get up there. But we're now on our way back down. Back to the bottom of the steps, heading into the tunnel. Okay, that does it. Back at the trailhead at 11:55. So that was a fun hike. Lots of stairs, pretty steep, but kind of fun on the switchbacks along the cliffs. And then, like I said, up the stairs through the tunnels. The only real problem is the crowds at the top, but that's what you have to expect. That's what you're going to get. So, like I said before, easy to deal with. So that was a little bit strenuous, but as you could tell, people of all ages and shapes and sizes made it up there. So, good hike for anyone coming to the Honolulu area. So now I can cross that one off the bucket list. So we snagged a bench, sitting here eating some snacks and drinking a little water. Glad I had the big hearty breakfast of pancakes, bacon, and eggs from the 49er Cafe down on the street level in the building we're in. Definitely worth it. All right, doing some more driving around. We're at Barber's Point Beach Park. And it's breezy out here, big waves coming in, so we're going to go down to the beach, see what it looks like. It's definitely not a touristy part of the island. This is somewhere where probably nobody goes unless you're a local, I'm guessing. No crowds here. It's not quite as nice. And it's weird, sandy mud. And it's red. It's really different looking. We were really looking for a lighthouse. I think we found it here. Just looks like pretty rough sea right here. I'm kind of assuming it comes in over rocks and reefs. Probably not a surfing spot at all. Just too rough underneath. Okay, this is called Barber's Point. And the story is that a Captain Barber in 1796 had a ship full of sea otter pelts, and he crashed on a reef out here and sunk his ship. Then later, in the mid-1800s, a whaling vessel also hit the reefs out here and sunk, and then an army transport ship at another time. So then they built the lighthouse. Well, that was really different. The main reason is because it was down a long road through an industrial area with this junkyard at the end of it right next to the beach. So definitely not a tourist area. Alright, still trying to check out all the beaches on the southern shore. Here's another one that there's no need to go to. You can kind of see Honolulu off in the distance, but as we drive out, show you more. There are just rows of homeless people along here.
All right, as we drive out, we'll drive by some houses on our right here that are all just sort of old, run down, not very nice. But right across the street, up on top of the hill, are some nice new upscale homes in a nice gated community. Here are some of the nicer homes. Much better manicured with palm trees out front. Make them look nice and Hawaiian. This is our last stop on the leeward side of the island, just to check out another non-tourist beach. The sign said Pu'ula Beach, but our map and the GPS said Ewa Beach, E-W-A. So, don't really know what it's called. Another very quiet, windswept beach. Really just wanted to see how much you can see looking back towards Honolulu and Diamond Head, and you can see if you can see anything in Pearl Harbor, but you really don't from here. But kind of like we've had all week, just clouds everywhere. It's just sort of not necessarily cloudy, but really hazy out over the ocean. And then when you come into land, it's definitely looks like it could rain. Yeah, I had to turn the camera on one more time while we're driving. Or I'm driving, Melanie's holding the camera, but just to show that we cannot get through a day without some kind of rain. Okay, back in the room, ending the day with pizza. And we also stopped and got some donuts to eat maybe later, but probably tomorrow for breakfast. At a couple of well-known places. We got a lot of comments on the donut box as we were walking around. People seem to really like it. And pizza's from Slice of Waikiki, which is literally a hole in the wall. Outside of a hotel, there's just a window you can walk up to and order pizza by the slice or by the whole pie, and surrounding the window is just a big chalkboard, and it's got their menu written on it. So it's actually kind of cool. Looks nice outside, but we had to walk the last 2 blocks coming back with the pizza in the rain. Another good walking day. Okay, Wednesday morning, and I'm assuming I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, Kualoa Ranch, and we're about to take a bus tour to go through the many movie sites that were filmed here. There's, I think they said well over 50 movie and TV shows filmed here. I might have to correct that number later also. As it has been all week, overcast, possibility of rain. We ride in vintage school buses. This is pronounced Kualoa.
Cattle are grass-fed.
It's an old sugar mill.
What's left of it, guys? Into that pillbox, do their communications, whatever they needed to do.
World War II bunker.
The generator. This second bunker over here.
More World War II bunkers.
Employee housing. Scene 2.
That's from the show Lost. Led us off to walk around the largest of the World War II bunkers. Is this all they ate?
So yeah, this ledge right here, made out of styrofoam, chicken wire, wood, you name it, it's probably in there.
I have not seen that last movie, but evidently that ledge, which was 2 feet high,
Over
was
here,
depicting a
down there
ledge
on
that
our
was
right, you guys can see all
2,000
these
feet
palm
high.
trees.
This was Mr. Miyagi's house in Karate Kid 2.
Alright guys, yeah, those are just logs. They have nothing to do with this tour at all. Now if you did take a picture
That was
of it,
funny.
please don't delete it, take it home, show it to your... This is where Samuel L. Jackson actually was standing there waiting for Kong to come towards him. As soon as he came towards him, he lit up the big pond, lit him up. Kong caught on fire. He thought Kong was dead. Kong wasn't dead. Smashed. He smashed poor Samuel. I thought Sammy was going to last the whole movie. Sorry, Sammy. Love you guys.
Kissing gorillas.
I saw it.
You know the Hawaiian word for papaya?
Papaya.
Papaya, yes. Now
Papaya
you guys
plants.
look beyond the papaya, past the trees over there, right above that tree line. You guys gonna see our kissing gorillas again. There's our kissing gorillas, guys.
A lot there about farming on the ranch.
Welcome to Jurassic Valley. So if you guys look up ahead, that mountain right up ahead of us, that is in Jurassic World. That is where the monorail was CGI. They CGI'd the monorail right along this mountain right here. When you guys came out of the bunker, you guys saw that Jeep that was right outside of the bunker. That was actually one of our tour Jeeps. They asked if they could use it. We let them borrow it. They pretty much took over. So they drove it. This Jeep was driven right across on this grass area in the movie Jurassic World, and they had the Gallimimus running alongside of it. This is where that was, right over here on the left side. First movie. You guys remember when they were walking down the hill over here on the right side? Family was walking down the hill. Then the Gallimimus was running right behind them. And they hit right behind this wall right here on the left. So this is that famous log, guys. No lie, I'm not lying. That is that famous log. That tree also was in the movie, of course a lot smaller. So I gotta watch this two more footprints. And be able to take some pictures up ahead on the left side. Now these footprints we were filming, these were actually 6 feet deep. Okay, and plan B of course was Ula. Ula, can you help me out?
From
So
50
Ula
First
helps
Dates.
him out. Oh, I gotta make you move on. Little tap, little tap, little tap. There we go. Come on, guys. There we go.
And of course it's raining like crazy now.
Over here on the right.
Ready for the rain now.
Okay, guys, let's see if we can breeze through this one. We will be getting off here if you want to get off. The rain seems to be a little lighter right now, so if you guys want to get off, walk around, take some pictures, go ahead and have at it. All I ask is that you do not climb on these bones, do not pick them up.
I thought this might be the coolest part of the tour, which it is. But we just drove through some heavy rain. But now it's just windy and not raining too much, so it's kind of cool. log that they used to jump over in Jurassic Park, or hide behind when the dinosaurs are chasing, rather than the other one you pointed out earlier. Okay, that was fun. Well, we got a great shot of me jumping over the log, but luckily did not get the shot of me wiping out in the mud after I came down. 800 weddings a year around here.
Don't tell him Carlos sent you, okay? I got. Also known as Chinaman's hat, also known as the lizard's tail. So there was a time where Pele, the goddess of fire, sent her sister out on a mission to Kauai. On her way, she ran into this giant lizard over here in Oahu. She fought this lizard for 3 days, finally beat the lizard, cut his tail off, and threw it out in the ocean. So that is the lizard's tail, Mokuli'i. On our right is the lizard's back, a long back, also known as Kualoa.
All right, what do you think?
They did a lot of filming for a lot of different things here.
They did. Anything else?
Driver's side would have been better.
I think we saw enough. I mean, as far as the side of the bus we were on. But yeah, I thought it was good. Saw a lot of places where things were filmed. I'll have to kind of go back and watch. I think things probably look a lot different now with trees growing more than they were before and things like that. But yeah.
Some movies we have to watch that we didn't know about.
Yeah, a couple of movies we might have to go back and review. Of course, the most memorable part will be me falling off the log into the mud, which we didn't get on tape, but we got a good shot of me jumping over it, so that's all we were looking for. And of course, we got rained on again. Got a pretty good record going. Many more pictures of the stars that were here to film movies. Yeah, I've seen it. Alright, we've driven back around to the North Shore. Not exactly sure which beach we're standing on, but we think this is where the best surfing is supposed to be, so we're gonna watch some surfers. This head's bobbing around out there, but there's at least half a dozen people out there, 8 maybe. Starting to rain, so I'm hoping to catch a little before it rains worse. Probably pretty small, but that was a pretty good ride there. Watch some of these closer waves come in right next to us. We're standing on a big bunch of rocks as opposed to sand. Next stop. Super busy place inside and out. And the first thing we're going to do is take the train. It's like waiting in line at an amusement park. That was just about a 45-minute wait.
Of rumbling. It was believed the rumbling sound of thunderstorms common in this area were the voices of the ancestral gods welcoming an offspring of divine rank. Today, Wahua is home to people of all backgrounds. A tube is placed between the rows of pineapple. When water is needed, it is dripped from the tubes directly onto the root. Harvesting, like planting, is also done by hand, 2.5-year cycle. After the last crop, the tag. If it says Dole Royal Hawaiian Pineapple on the tag, you've got yourself a genuine Dole pineapple grown right here in the islands.
Half of the pineapple grown here stays in Hawaii.
There's a bit of history on
Most of the rest goes to the West Coast.
The Hawaiian word for pineapple is halakahiki, which means foreign fruit. It is believed that pineapple first originated in Paraguay or Brazil. Carried aboard 15th and 16th century trade ships, pineapple was soon found growing as far away as Mexico, Australia, China, and India. Christopher Columbus brought pineapples back from his travels in the New World, and it quickly became a gourmet fruit throughout Europe. Well, it's because the decomposed volcanic ash in the soil results in high amounts of oxidized iron, which in turn causes the reddish tint. The high iron content in the soil is good for growing pineapple. If you don't plan to use a fresh pineapple right away, store it in your refrigerator, it'll keep longer. And if you're interested in learning the proper way to cut and core a pineapple, check out our free pineapple cutting demonstration in the Dole Plantation store. Trunk. Chocolate is made from
Note the rain on the window.
pods. If the pods aren't visible, look for the trees with long green leaves. Those are the cacao trees. A variety of other trees border the cacao field, which help to shield the cacao trees from excessive wind and sun.
Celebrate your life in the place so nice. Dance the hula to your favorite melody. Only in Hawaii.
That was Manoa DNA with their hit song, Only in Hawaii. James Drummond Dole. James Dole arrived in Hawaii in 1899, and the following year he bought a 61-acre tract of land right here in Wahua, where he established his first pineapple plantation. Early on, James Dole knew there would be a huge market for pineapple outside of Hawaii. However, the only way to reach this market was to pack and seal the pineapple in cans. As a result, in 1901, James Dole built a pineapple cannery here in Wahua, which marked the start of the Hawaiian Pineapple Company. Several years later, in 1907, the cannery was relocated to Honolulu Harbor, closer to the labor pool, shipping ports, and supplies. The Honolulu Cannery, at one time the world's largest cannery, remained in operation until 1991. As the demand for pineapple grew, so did the need for more land. So, in 1922, James Dole bought the island of Lanai and converted it from a cactus-covered island with 150 people into the largest pineapple plantation in the world.
Penny goes on and on.
Well, the train ride was pleasant and informative, and it rained a little, but we didn't get wet, so good deal.
And now we're going to go inside for a demonstration of how to properly slice pineapple and maybe get a sample.
Welcome to Dole Plantation. So today we'll be having a pineapple demonstration.
This seems a little strange, and I know that we just ate some soft serve pineapple ice cream, but it is just plain cold out here right now. Melanie put her jacket on, pretty tempted to put mine on. It's just breezy and
just plain chilly. Weird, thinking that we're in Hawaii.
All right, we're ending Ash Wednesday with Mahi Mahi Tacos. Okay, Thursday the 23rd. I don't know if the camera picks this up or not, but the sun's out, but the rain's coming down. Seems to be blowing down out of the mountains, but I don't think this is going to last very long. It's actually not bad out this way. We just walked down the street for donuts and it was fine.
They do, you can see the ocean, but there is just hurricane force winds up here. It's nuts.
Now we cross through the tunnel to the other side of the island. And you can see the ocean here too, again on the other side of the island.
Okay, this is actually the last stop on our itinerary, so everything after this we're just going to kind of make up as we go along. It's a short walk, paved all the way up to a 45-foot waterfall that falls into a 30-foot deep pool of water, and you can swim, so we might get in when we get up there. There is a $25 fee for normal adults. We as seniors got a little discount off of that, but you're paying for the upkeep of the botanical gardens that you go through on the way, not just the privilege to do a hike.
Okay, taking shelter from a light rain for a little bit.
Good catch.
Wow, the sun's even on it. Actually a Hawaiian shot. This guy was sitting up on the railing. We almost bumped into him and didn't even see him. This guy is more than 4 feet long. Huge. Heading to the car in a minute, but waiting for the rain to stop.
Still amazed at how the showers will come, pour like crazy for a minute, and then it just blows off.
Okay, we stopped here the other day, viewed this from the road above, and nobody was here. But today, there are people. So I thought I'd come down and see if anybody actually does this. And of course it's raining. Waiting for this guy to go. Maybe I'll see if these two little kids go. Or the lady on top.
I need this.
Oh, if I was younger, maybe.
As with everywhere else, parking is virtually impossible. Melanie's up here just circling the lot, waiting for me to come back. But I kind of wanted to get that shot. One last look at some turtles, and that might wrap it up for filming on Oahu. Tomorrow is kind of a free day on our schedule. We didn't plan any excursions of any kind, so I think I'm just gonna stow away the video camera and have fun. Friday morning about 8:30, February 24th. Just for the record, here's what the weather looks like. Cloudy, but not bad over the ocean. Clouds above Diamond Head. Looking back in towards the mountains. The usual. Great day for a long walk to the beach. Could have used a lot more of that this week.
Even golfers all over the course today. Saturday the 25th. We've left our condo and we're sitting in the airport waiting to go to the Big Island. Checkout at the place was fast, and check-in here at the airport was really fast.
Returning the rental cars.
Yeah, returning the rental car, driving over, no traffic. So anyway.
Because it's a Saturday.
Yeah. So we're here 3 hours early. We planned ahead and didn't need to for once. So we're sitting here waiting. As soon as I turn the camera off, Melanie goes, "That's because I was in charge."
It wasn't Kenny time.
Yeah, we weren't on Kenny time. Great. All right, so we landed, and it took an hour and 25 minutes to get into our rental car. And we're just looking around at the ocean, and this island looks totally different.
hardly any trees, lots of lava flows, or you know, looks like lava rock. Kind of desolate, especially with the clouds. They were driving all the way around the mountain. Okay, so after jumping to another island on a short flight, and then we're negotiating the steps here, and then driving a couple hours, we've driven into, believe it or not, overcast skies.
Cloudy.
Cloudy, and looks like it just rained. Everything's pretty wet. Anyway, this is our first point of interest on the big island, a couple of waterfalls. We're not even sure how far this little walk is, so we're gonna find out. It's 10 after 4. This one's pretty buried in the trees. It is kind of a jungle through here. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. It's tall. In fact, we can't see the bottom yet. We saw some of these earlier that were probably twice this big. These are huge too. Just more gigantic plants. Don't really know exactly what that is. If some of these plants were like Venus flytraps, they would just grab you and eat you alive. Raining again. Okay, we made it to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. We're going to stay at the Volcano House, which is that way, just a little bit. We couldn't even park in front of the place. There aren't enough parking spaces compared to the number of rooms, but there is a restaurant there that's taking up all the parking at the moment, so that should clear out later. So we're parked right here in front of the Visitor Center, which is a few steps away. And we'll probably move the car up there later. However, it's 58 degrees and it's just been pouring rain and foggy and you can't see a thing. So don't really know what things look like. I expected it to be kind of barren up here, but it's really forested. So that was kind of unusual. I also thought I read that all the rooms in the hotel overlook the crater, because they evidently were right on the edge of it, but the Kilauea caldera. But ours doesn't. Ours overlooks the parking lot in front of the building, so we missed out there too. The center? Well, I'll be anxious to look at that because I don't know what we got. A lot of people out there, 55-degree, cold rain, and obviously dark outside. So
well, we could see it.
We could see some glow down there, a little bit of something. So I guess that's it's about par for the course for us. A little bit of lava, kind of like one turtle, one seal, one hike that went well.
And many times of wearing our raincoat.
Yes, and the raincoats were the best buys we ever made before we left. That was smart. Okay, we're waiting for a pizza to get done. Sitting in the hotel. But I just took a walk down to a viewpoint out behind the hotel, which we thought we might be able to see way over to the crater that we were looking at before. although it's a couple miles away. Nothing but blackness out there, and rain. It's pouring. So I just walked 20 minutes in the rain.
It's not warm rain.
No, it's not warm rain. It's mid-50s, and the rain's colder than that. The walk got me up to 7,600 steps today. Sunday morning, the 26th. Got up sort of early. It's, what, 7:30, give or take a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going down to the Thurston Lava Tube to get out of the rain, because it's a 54-degree, pretty steady rain. Just like it was last night. Rained all night long. So it's wet, cold, miserable. And as a reminder, this is Hawaii.
I even have gloves on.
Thank goodness we actually brought enough clothes. Hard to believe.
Again, I'm surprised at how it's just jungle up here. I guess I thought this would be kind of a barren wasteland right around a volcanic crater. But we're now entering the lava tube.
You can see my breath.
Okay, in the lava tube. So here's the lava tube story. We got here. We were told there were lights inside. There were not. I ran back to the car to get our flashlights because, you know, I'm smart enough to bring emergency flashlights for hiking purposes. But of course I didn't. I left them in the hotel and they weren't in the car, so I hiked back in. You know, it's a couple hundred yards. And then we got down here, decided to go through with just Melanie's phone as a flashlight, which was pretty hard. And then we get halfway through and the lights pop on. So we're coming back to the beginning and we're doing it again. Okay, it feels like it's raining just as much in here as outside. It's dripping. The floor is really wet. By really wet, I mean, you know, a couple inch deep puddle right here. That, thank goodness we're wearing the hiking boots so we can get across. Sure. My goodness, I think the sky's blue. This is me in the middle of there. This is more of the landscape that I thought would be almost everywhere. Just down the road a little ways. And making our way down the road, it's about 9 o'clock. Still 55 degrees and breezy. Stop in another crater. And this one is
just deep. Can't get it all in.
Looking into the sun a little bit, although it's behind the clouds. Another big crater. I guess big is a relative term, so I don't know what you'd really call this. Just a lot of lava here. Spinning rain. And then we're looking out over the ocean. Down to the ocean, literally the end of the road. It's hard to tell with all the bad weather, but just miles and miles of where lava flows. A few other people down here. For the most part, like I said, all day long, but it's only 10:40 in the morning. But it's not raining down here, so it's nice. In fact, it's a good 10 degrees warmer, maybe more. We dropped, I don't know, 2,500, 3,000 feet, maybe. A long way. Just looking at the weather again. Looks nice right here. But I don't have to pan around very far. And you can just see it raining. We're on the other side of the arch here. You can't see it. But we just wanted to get the waves crashing into the cliffs. The arch is 90 feet high, so these cliffs are, you know, probably 80, 90 feet high. It's some of these waves are splashing up that high. There are signs warning you not to get close to the edge because it could crumble right underneath you. So I'm not going to get too close. See, some of those are coming up above the top of those cliffs. Alright, it's 11:30. We're hiking out to see some petroglyphs. 0.7 miles out. So it'll be a 1.5 mile hike. But the rain went away. Quite a bit warmer and really windy. We're setting out over the lava flows. There's sort of a trail, but it's really the rock cairns that we're following. Really glad to have the hiking boots. The terrain is pretty rough. I have to look up how old these are and maybe how old the whole lava flow is. The lava flow must be pretty old. This one's pretty distinct. It's 12:05. Back at 12:26. Here's some cool looking stuff. Still really windy up here and a little bit of spitting rain. Okay, we're at the sea arch down here. Went to the petroglyphs right along here. And went back up to our hotel. We're going to do a hike up here, but the higher elevations, it was raining again. So we've driven down the road a ways to a black sand beach looking for turtles. And hopefully get back up here to finish a little bit of hiking. Turtles sitting right here, 4 of them. Right out. Another one in the water up there. Another one in the water. Oh, you can see he's moving around a little bit. Here's another one drying out in the sand. Okay, what do you think?
It was so worth it because we saw many, many sea turtles, some on the shore, some out swimming.
It was definitely worth the drive. Okay, we're going to try this, the Kilauea Iki Trail. Got to go 0.7 miles just to catch the trail. Okay, so we're here. We're going to go all the way over to here to catch the trailhead, and then go down some switchbacks and then out into the middle of the crater. Alright, this is the Kilauea Iki crater.
Look at the steam going on.
Oh yeah, you can see steam going over. That's probably where we were looking at the lava last night. We're going to walk out onto this trail a little ways. Then probably turn around and come back. Okay, starting our descent into the crater through the rainforest. Going down the switchbacks. This is pretty far down. And all through this thick rainforest. And rain. Not much to talk about through the rainforest, other than it's going to be hard coming back up. We're getting closer. Alright, here we are. Getting out onto the crater floor. At the moment, the rain seems to be gone and the sun is beating down. We follow the cairns down across the crater floor. From parking lot to here took about 40 minutes at a pretty leisurely pace downhill. Walking into the sun here. Everything's a little wet. It'll look different when we turn around and come back. Okay, probably near the middle. Do a 360 from here. This is the way we came down right here. Checking out the overlooks at the top of the rim. We were told the switchbacks down through this side of the canyon were a little bit easier than steps on the other side. So we came down that way, and I think we're going to go back up that way. This looks pretty cool. Glad we came down. Some of the ground is just hard, flat rock, but most of it's like this. Not much grows out here, but this tree has grown about 4 feet high. It's been raining for a week or more, heavy. But there's not as much water out here as I thought there might be. These look pretty. Okay, we'll follow the cairns back into the rainforest for a long trudge up to the top. Stepped in a lot of mud there. Alright, it's about 5:20. Okay, back in the parking lot, 6 o'clock, and that felt like a snail's pace coming up, but it seems like, I think, it was about the same 40 minutes down and up. So, hard to tell. We're kind of figuring that it was a roughly 3-mile round trip. And now that we're back at the top, as you can kind of see, it's raining again. Next stop are the steam vents. That's pretty impressive across the river. just about 7 o'clock. Back to the same spot we were at last night. And I think there's more eruption to see down here. Not much, but a little bit. Trying to get Melanie's phone. It's pretty good.
We got to see the volcano again.
2 nights in a row, we got to see some eruption going on. Out there pretty far, we had to stand in some ice cold wind and rain to do it, but it was totally worth it.
All right, check out the Fitbit today. 25,902 steps. I'll hit 26 here before the end of the day. It says 12.21 miles. We put in some steps. Okay, Monday the 27th, outside of the volcano house. This is the first time since we've been here that we've actually had a view out of the back overlooking the Kilauea caldera. It's the usual 55 degrees, raining, and we are up here at about 3,700 feet in elevation. Hard to get a good look as to what the entire building really looks like. A look from the front. More from the front, outside of the fireplace. We've been here 2 nights, and this is the first time we've really gotten a look at the outside of the building. Well, we've checked out, but I don't even want to walk to the car in this, so we're giving it 5 more minutes. On our way to the airport, past the southern tip of the island, on our way up the west side near Captain Cook, there's just more vast expanses of lava flows. Miles.
Okay, sitting in the Kona airport, and we're wrapping up the Hawaiian trip. Just about time to take off. So we're going to go through our comments and likes and things that we did. And remember, this is coming from 2 people that are visiting Hawaii, that neither of us are sit on the beach, soak up the sun types. So there was going to be no snorkeling and no surfing. And I don't like coconut and pineapple. And we opted out of going to a luau. So we did some non-tourist, non-Hawaiian tourist things. So we'll start with Melanie. What are your comments, favorites, whatever?
I broke my favorites into favorite tour, and that one was going to be the cacao farm, the 21 Degrees Estates. Michael and Marie were awesome.
Now you're going to get the A-Team chocolate tasting.
All right, great.
We learned a lot. We had a small group, so that made it a lot of fun. We learned a lot about cacao farming or production, and he also had honey. So at the end, we had a chocolate tasting and honey tasting, and which was great. But you really could tell the difference in the honey from the honey we get, you know, that's made back on the mainland. So then I went with favorite waterfall. My favorite waterfall was on the Big Island, and it was AKA Falls. I don't know how to pronounce Hawaiian. It was in a state park. We went to Niagara Falls, and that waterfall was 167 feet, which seemed high. This one is actually 442 feet, so it was pretty impressive. My next favorite category is food. So I came up with a few favorites. The first being our visit to the Dole Plantation. We watched a pineapple cutting demonstration, and then we got free samples. And it was so good. It was so sweet. It definitely tasted so much better than what we get on the mainland. One of my other favorite foods was from Leela's Bakery, and that was also in Oahu. And there was this glazed donut, and inside of it, it was purple because it was made with poi. And poi is made from the plant taro, which we saw growing on the island. So that was really good. And of course, the macadamia nuts were wonderful. At the macadamia nut farm, they had like different coatings on them, and so we got to sample all those different kinds. And of course, the last favorite food was Dave's. They voted best in the island ice cream. Then I just had some miscellaneous favorites, one being the Capitol. It was really a unique building. The pillars were supposed to be shaped like palm trees, and where the House of Representatives and the Senate, their two locations were supposed to be looking like volcanoes. And then the roof, I mean, it was totally an open air building. So that made it pretty cool. We did run into our tradition, apparently, of visiting capitals on Sunday mornings and meeting some people who are probably mentally ill, because the same thing happened to us when we were in Trenton, New Jersey. One of my favorite things was a hike to Makupu'u, I think is how you say it, lighthouse. We were along the coast and we could see whales.
I hope I got that.
We actually saw several whales. We saw a couple that were together, so we think that was probably a mother and a baby whale. So that was pretty cool. We also found blowholes where when the waves came crashing in, they came blowing out, the water came blowing out of the holes.
Oh, that was pretty good.
So that was cool. So those two were on Oahu, and then on the Big Island, it was the Black Sand Beach Park. And the sand was obviously black, but what was really cool is we saw a lot of sea turtles. They were on the shore, and then we watched several swimming in the water, so that was really cool. And the other thing on the Big Island is 2 days that we were there, we got to see the volcano erupt on both days in the evening. So that made it pretty cool, because not everybody gets to see that. The final favorite thing, stop. My final favorite thing is usually when we return from vacation, I'm thinking about all the things we need to do to get ready to go to work, and we don't have to do that anymore.
I will agree with that last comment. It's cool to go back home and have nothing to do except plan the next trip. Anyway, as far as planning a trip, going to Hawaii, I think if I had to pick my top things before we came, I wanted to see Pearl Harbor, I wanted to hike up Diamond Head, and I wanted to see lava on the Big Island. So as far as checking off boxes, I'm 3 for 3. So to follow Melanie's lead, my favorite tour, I think, was Pearl Harbor. I just thought it was really cool. I learned a lot about the attack.
Flush American air power before it can get off the ground.
And I did like the way that when we went out on the boat to the Arizona Memorial, that they said it was not an attraction, but a cemetery, and to treat it that way. So I just thought that was great that they did that. Number 2 in the tour list, I'll echo what Melanie said about the 21 Degree Estate, where they grew the cacao. I really liked those guys, and like Melanie said, it was a small group, and I just learned a lot there too. I really just liked the fact that the guy was retired military and wanted to be a gentleman farmer, and then ended up, trying to raise bees as well as cacao, and I thought it was just an interesting story.
Year 1, 2,300. Year 5, 12,000. This year, I think I'm going to be pushing 18,000.
Now, as far as waterfalls, I like the Waimea Falls, just because I got to swim in the big pool below the falls. I just thought that was cool. I wanted to mention animals too. I really liked the turtles on the big island at the.
I forgot something.
What'd you forget?
I forgot the monk seal.
That's what I was going to say. We just stumbled onto a beach and almost literally stumbled over a monk seal. I mean,
we thought it was a rock.
Yeah, it was pretty far away, but we didn't realize they were there. We didn't know this one was there, and it kind of ignored us, and we kind of just walked around it. So that was cool just to come upon it without knowing it was going to be there. As far as food goes, I'm not really a Hawaiian food person, so we ate at a famous shrimp truck, but I don't necessarily like shrimp. Giovanni's. And then we ate a poke bowl, which I thought was just so-so. It was full of rice and soggy salad and raw fish, so I didn't necessarily like that either. The one thing that I didn't think I'd like, but did, was on the Dole Plantation, where I had... What?
I forgot the pineapple soft whip.
Yes, the pineapple soft whip.
Or soft serving.
Soft serve Dole whip was really good, so I kind of like that. Lastly were hikes. We did the Diamond Head hike. There were way too many people, but I knew that was coming, and that was kind of a bucket list hike, so I'm glad I did that. I really enjoyed that one. And then finally the last hike was yesterday. We walked about 12 miles altogether yesterday. Did a lot of stuff, but near the end we hiked down into the Kilauea Iki crater, and I just thought that was a really cool hike. Switchbacks down through the rainforest. You pop out into this just kind of a vast crater with hardened lava floor to it. So I just thought that was a cool hike. I did enjoy that. Okay, that'll do it. Aloha.
Aloha.